Hey everyone, how's it going? Coming to y'all with yet another guitar review. This time we're looking at an Esteban, or Esteban, as they like to say on the old infomercials. What model is this? The Masterclass ALC-200 American Legacy Cutaway. It's a long walk for a short drink of water. So, if you're one of those shut up and play kind of guys who just wants to see the demonstration of the acoustic tone of the guitar, this is not the video for you. I do have a video on my channel demonstrating just the acoustic tone and another video demonstrating just the plugged-in tone. And if you want to hear how this guitar sounds plugged in, you're not going to hear that here, but I will post a link to it in the description down below. I will, of course, give more acoustic demos as the video goes on, but I also want to go over the guitar itself, the specifications, my honest-to-God thoughts on it, what it's worth, what it's good for, maybe why you might want it and why you might want to avoid it at all costs. So, yeah, this is going to be a bit more of an in-depth review than that on what many people consider to be a guitar from the very worst guitar manufacturer in the world. Now, let's go ahead and dispel that right quick. And Esteban is not the worst guitar manufacturer in the world because they are not a guitar manufacturer. Esteban never made any of his own guitars. He contracted out to a company. I wrote it down here. I do have all my specs and information written here so I don't forget to leave out any important information. They were made by Rosewood. So every Esteban guitar ever was made by a company called Rosewood. So Esteban is not the worst guitar manufacturer ever. That would make Rosewood the worst guitar manufacturer ever. If you believe the rumors, which we're going to go ahead and find out if there's any truth to them in this video. So we're looking at a Cutaway Dreadnought, which, by the way, I will say, I think aesthetically speaking, this is a fairly attractive looking guitar. You know, we have a bit of a kind of an aged look to the spruce top. It is a laminate spruce top, but still a nice aged look. We have faux tortoiseshell pickguard, and then we have 4-ply on the rosette there. I think it's 4. I guess it's almost 5 actually, if you count that little inner black ring as an additional ply. But we have this black trim, and then we have this mother of pearl sticker, and then we have this fake herringbone design. But it is attractive looking, I'll say. And then we have this fake mother of pearl sticker purfling around the body of the guitar. White binding around the sides of the guitar and the neck of the guitar, as well as a stripe of white binding up the back, which the back and sides on this are a bit ambiguous. Several sources online claim laminate rosewood. I'm saying no. Honestly, I would bet money that this is laminate maple. It looks like laminate maple, and there's a lot of wood grain here and some of the bird's eye stuff we see going on that, to me, tell me this is absolutely a laminate maple back and sides, maple neck, supposedly a rosewood fingerboard and bridge. Now, I do know that this is not simulated rosewood like the Urban, because it did take a knife and kind of scrape away at it, just revealed more dark wood. So whether or not it's actual rosewood or not is anyone's guess, but it is absolutely a real dark wood. So has that going for it. But, you know, aesthetically speaking, I think it's a fairly attractive looking guitar. Okay, there's our headstock with our Esteban logo right there. Don't know if you can see that. And on the back, we have some of the worst tuning machines I have ever used. Now, they look just like the same cheap tuning machines you would get on any budget acoustic guitar, but they really suck. They really, really suck. They are worse than the average cheap Chinese guitar tuner. They just don't stay in tune, and that's why I have a tuner nearby in case it goes out of tune in the video. Not that it matters, because it does suffer from intonation problems. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so attractive looking guitar. Already went over the woods. Laminate spruce top, laminate maple back and sides, maple neck. Some form of dark wood bridge and fingerboard. I'm going to be generous and say it's rosewood. It's a 25.4 inch scale. And we have these pearloid dot inlays up the fingerboard. Okay, so pearloid is a plastic meant to look like pearl. And then we have some dot on the side as well of the neck to denote what fret we're on, and they're hilariously bad. Look at that 12th fret marker. It's just completely uneven. So some really poorly done fret markers on the side of the neck. Let's see here. What else spec-wise are we looking at? Did I measure the width of the nut? No, I did not. So I forgot to write that down. I'm willing to. It feels like 1 11/16. It's about a 1 11/16 inch nut. Which, by the way, the nut and saddle and bridge pins are made of plastic. Yep, cheapo plastic, which is to be expected on a guitar at this price point. Which, by the way, these days, around $100 is what you'll pay for this. Oftentimes less if you buy them locally, but if you buy it online, about $100 to $150 is what this is going to run you. I'll say now, there are better guitars out there for that price range. And I'm not going into this wanting to hate on the Esteban either. I actually got this guitar and the Urban guitar with the intention of comparing them, and I'm still going to do a comparison video on them and reviewing them both. And I wanted to like them both, because I did have one Esteban at one point that I actually really did like the feel and the sound and the playability of it. I thought it was actually a pretty decent guitar. And I was hoping this would be on par with that, and unfortunately it's just not. So I did not come into this wanting to hate on the guitar, I have some feelings on it. Not going to comment on the tone, I'll let you decide on that for yourselves. Electronics, we are looking at an OPUS-III preamp system, okay? So pretty cheap Chinese pickup system, preamp and pickup combination system, because it is an undersaddle piezo that plugs in here with a 1/10 inch jack. We have bass, middle, and treble control, as well as volume control. Again, to hear how it sounds, check the description down below for the electronics demo video. But, you know, it is what it is. It's a cheap Chinese preamp system. I've seen them on a bunch of different cheap Chinese guitars. Which, yes, by the way, this is made in China. Which is to be expected for a guitar at this price range, honestly. Do I have a problem with guitars made in China? Absolutely not. My workhorse, my absolute workhorse of a guitar is my Sigma DMC 15E, and that was made in China. And I'll stack that against almost anything that I've played. China makes some really good guitars. This just may not be one of them. By the way, the plug-in is a 1/4 inch jack at the bottom there. And I actually like this 1/4 inch jack design. You can see how it's secured with some screws. So unlike most 1/4 inch jacks, this is not going to come loose on you. So I actually do think that's a superior design to what we see on the majority of guitars' 1/4 inch jack outputs. So, something like this Hummingbird here, I have to tighten the jack every once in a while. So I'm giving credit where it's due there. The strings in here, by the way, are brand new as far as what they are. They are whatever the hell the Keith Urban guitars come with, because there were 2 spare packs of strings and cheap plastic packaging in the Urban's bag. And I restring both the Urban and the Esteban with them, so they'd be fair for comparison. They have colored ball ends, so I'm going to assume there's some form of Diodario, phosphor bronze. They feel like 11-352s. They could be 13-353s, but they feel like 11-52s. Let's see, anything else I need to say about this? It comes in your choice of natural or black. So you're looking at the natural here. There is no second strap button anywhere to be found, which is annoying because we can't throw this over our neck and wear it all night long at a gig. So if you want to put one on the guitar, drill a hole right in here and put your strap button there. Do not put it on the back of the neck. It is not going to sit right. It is not going to feel right. Let's see here. Oh yeah, quality control wise, the binding up the side of the fretboard is actually shrinking, and so I can, you can hear me doing that, get my fingernail kind of in between the two of them because this is shrinking down, and it exposes some very not nice fret ends. Okay, speaking of fret issues, there is some fret buzz. Mostly at the 13th fret. So 13th fret does have some fret buzz. I could fix that by filing the 13th fret because I've already straightened out the neck with using the truss rod. It's not the problem here. Yeah. Okay, so that's all the boring tech specs. Let's go ahead and get into the acoustic demonstration of this guitar. And I started the video out with the whole acoustic letter Alamo music bit, so let's go ahead and do the Scott Grove bit now. sustain on here is actually pretty decent. Now for some flat picking. And now for some finger picking. So some quick tone demos there. Of course, we're going to play it more because I can't help myself. But one of the things I do want to note is that we have a bit of an intonation problem on this guitar, specifically on the low E. And you may have heard it in the beginning of the video. So, whenever I was playing that intro bit, you may hear how out of tune that it sounds when you fret it as a G note. Okay, so here's how the E sounds. Here's how it should sound. So even though the guitar is in tune, and I'll check right now just to be sure it hasn't gone out of tune. Oh, we have slipped out of tune, so let's be fair. Okay, we're back in tune. Still not quite there. Matter of fact, we're registering about 7 cents sharp, according to the tuner. So we have intonation problems. Now, is that the end of the world? Well, you know, it might be. Because the way you fix intonation on an acoustic guitar is a bit more involved than it is on an electric. It involves coming back here to the saddle and taking a file and either filing back or forward, depending if you're flat or sharp, and putting the string back on and checking again. Again, you're going to be filing at an angle, either this way or this way. And then putting the string back on and checking it again by open fretting and then fretting at the 12th to figure out exactly how off you are. And it's just a very involved job for someone who isn't used to working on acoustic guitars. And I'm not going to bother for this little Esteban. So, is it a big deal? Yeah, kind of is, because it means you won't be playing in tune as the night goes on. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse with the capo. In fact, let's go ahead and grab a capo. And I'll even quickly check to make sure every string is in tune, since that low E went out of tune, just from the time of turning on the, recording the video. Okay, everything else stayed in tune. So, let's go ahead and capo this up at the 4th fret. Hear how bad that sounds? Okay, maybe you can hear that. The intonation on this guitar is atrocious. It is absolutely atrocious. And yeah, I could fix it, but the cost of the guitar, it's really not worth it. And if you were to take this to a luthier and say, hey, you know, I need this set up and intonated, you're looking to pay about what you have in it. Genuinely. And it's just not worth it. Just honestly, if you're wondering, is this Esteban worth buying? No, it's not. You can get a much better guitar somewhere else. As far as what you think of the tone, that's up to you. If you like the tone, then hey, more power to you. If that's what you like, that's what you like. I think it would be a pretty decent blues guitar, and the reason I say that is because I feel like that's kind of the cheating default answer for this is a cheap guitar that doesn't sound very good. Put it in open tuning and play some slide blues on it. And I have done that with this. I put it in open D and messed around on it. It sounds decent that way. And the cheap electronics in the pickup actually sound really nice for slide blues. But It's kind of a cop-out answer, and I'm not saying that only cheap, bad guitars sound good for slide blues. There's some really nice high-end guitars sound great. But these cheaper guitars really capture the feeling of what those songs were written about, you know, poverty and struggling, and, well, this is something you could buy if you were impoverished and struggling, so I think it's really good for that. Let's go ahead and play this thing a bit more and see if we can get some decent tone out of it. Do that again. God, I'm getting hung up on this fret right here. This fret is really high, and so my finger's actually running into it as I'm sliding. Jesus. It really isn't nice to play. I keep running into that fourth fret, like my finger's physically running into it as I'm trying to slide, which I've never had happen on a guitar before. It is just less easy to play. Let's see if I can do some more finger picking, because I think it sounds best when finger picked. So there's the tone of the guitar. It sounds however you think it sounds. I'm not going to tell you what I think of the tone. I'm not going to tell you what you should think of the tone. If you listen to this and you loved it, hey, awesome. There's quality control issues, and you will have to worry about that, and you will have to set it up, and you will have to maintain it. So keep that in mind. But if you are a fan of the sound, you know, we all like different things, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you can find one of these for super cheap and you just want to make it into a blues guitar, awesome. It works for that purpose. If you just need it, you know, if you find it really cheap and wonder, is this good enough to sit around the campfire with? Yeah, it's good enough to sit around the campfire with, you know, because you don't give a damn if it gets damaged or if you have to put it on the campfire in order to keep warm for the night. So upgrades you can make to it would be either a bone or tusk nut and saddle, better bridge pins, and dear God, any kind of tuners besides these. You could even upgrade this to the typical cheap Chinese tuner, and it would be a huge improvement over what we got. So, the Esteban Masterclass ALC-200 American Legacy Cutaway. I don't recommend it, and I would sincerely advise you to find yourself a better guitar. If you're a student who's trying to learn how to play the guitar, I mean, you could learn on worse. The action on this thing isn't god-awful. It's not a finger killer, so I don't think that you would have to worry about this thing discouraging you from a discomfort sense. I feel like a lot of us certainly learned on worse, so, yeah, you know, maybe. And I plan on giving this guitar away alongside the Urban Guitar. I'm going to give them to the local Boys and Girls Center, exactly for that reason, so local youths who want to learn how to play can. And I think it's good enough for that. But if you're spending money, you're spending anything above 40 or 50 bucks at a pawn shop and you want to get a guitar, get a Rogue RA-090. A Rogue RA-090 is a better guitar than this in every conceivable way. Get an Urban player. Spoiler alert for that comparison, the Urban's better. The Urban's absolutely better. Get you an Epiphone Starling for 150 bucks. Get you something besides the Esteban. It just really isn't worth your time or your money. So, that's been my review of the Esteban long-ass name guitar. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day, and I hope you found it very informative. Until next time, I'll see you later. Peace, and take care.